Hi everyone, welcome. In this video, I'm going to take you through how you can create your first AWS resources using Terraform. But what I'm going to do is I will take you through the manual, which is, I would say the go-to where you can leverage on going forward. Okay, this is the fundamental. You need to understand this. From there, if you understand how to use the manual, you can create any resources, no matter how big it is. But we will take it a step at a time, okay, and start from a very simple resource creation. We're gonna create IAM user, and then later on we can build on top of that. Okay, so but the main idea for this is understand how to create the resource, reading the manual, okay, and creating the resource yourself. Okay, most of it I'm just gonna copy and paste, but you need to know where to copy, what to paste, what to change. This is what this is for. Okay, the rest you can build it yourself. Okay, so let's quickly dive in and then we can start. Okay, let's go to my IDE. Okay, let me remove this for now. Okay, so what I have here is my Visual Studio Code. Okay, so what I have done, I've created a file called main.tf. Okay, so the main.tf, why main.tf? You can create one yourself. Okay, so actually let's delete this. Okay, let me remove that. Okay, and then what I need to do, under this folder I'll create a file called main.tf. Yeah, main.tf. Yeah, why main.tf is the main file that's going to hold all the resource we are going to create. Okay, so it's a single file. That's why we call it main.tf. The extension is tf. It means it's Terraform. Okay, so if you move it or you forget and type ft, it's not gonna work. Okay, Terraform cannot read it. Terraform will read from the file. Okay, if you misspell it, it's not gonna work. So it has to be Terraform. So this is TF. Once I type the TF, can you see that? Okay, the Terraform sign. One tip I want to give you is when you have your Visual Studio Code, you need to install what we call Terraform extension. You see these four squares, you click on that and then you search Terraform. Okay, once you search for Terraform, you see I have downloaded this or have installed this. That is why I'm getting syntax highlighting. I will show you what I mean by that. You can install any of them, but I did install the highest installed one. Okay, so that will help you autocomplete, highlight it, and you'll be able to see your code looks nice and clean. Okay, that's a bit of tips. Now let's create our first resource. That's the main thing. Yeah, right. We can use AI to help you. You ask the AI, can you provide me the configuration file for, let's say, creating IAM user? You can. So you can use the Copilot to do it. I've got it here. I'm not going to use it now. I've got AWS Amazon Q. Currently, they call it current. So we're not going to use that for now. Okay. What I want you to understand is you need to understand how the code itself work. The AI is an assistant. It's going to assist you to code to fix your errors, but everything is on you. You need to have a total control of the code. Yeah. So let's get total control of the code and let's start coding ourselves. I'm not gonna pull anything from my head. Everything has been documented. This is why we are here. Therefore, let me show you the source, okay, where we get all this information. All right. So let's go to the documentation called Terraform registry. Okay. So if you Google Terraform registry, okay, you end up someplace like that. Yeah. So registry.terraform.io. Okay. So here, let me go back so you can see we got so many providers. If I come in here, we got so many providers here: AWS, Azure, GCP, Alibaba, Kubernetes. The list goes on, hundreds of them, but we are interested in AWS. Okay, so whilst we are here, we are interested in creating IAM user, for example. Okay, so depending on what version you want to use, okay, here is showing you latest. If you don't want latest version, this is AWS version, you can change it to whatever version you want. Okay, it doesn't matter for now. So we just need to create our IAM user. Let's pick, let's pick something. Let's pick, I don't know, let's pick that one. Okay, as our provider. Can you see here? So now let's click on the document. Okay, on here we will start one thing. Can you see the first bit that we landed here is provider? The provider will help you connect to whichever cloud provider you are working with. In this case, it's AWS. So this will help you connect, basically have like API connection from your machine to the AWS. So you'll be able to download, the particular plugin you are working with. So in this case, you need this. So for the first bit, we will copy the provider block. Okay, so we can copy all of this, but we don't need this. We are not creating VPC, so we can skip that. We will copy from this. Okay, let's start from the top. Okay, you can copy from here to that bit, or you can copy all of them here, and then you can remove the VPC, the one you don't need. I've copied it and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, job is a good thing. We don't need a VPC, so I can remove that. Okay, right. So this one you can leave it. Later on, I do a separate video and I kind of explain it back quickly. So this is what we call the provider block. This is the Terraform block you need to tell Terraform you are working within Terraform. Okay, the provider, or you need to provide this required provider. Which source is he gonna source it from? So it's AWS, and the source is HashiCorp AWS. Okay, and we are using this version. Okay, this provider block is telling you which region do you want to deploy your code to. Okay, if you want to keep it US East 1, that's fair. Okay, but you can also change it to whichever region you want to. Remember, when we are on the console and we were creating resource, there were some regions. Okay, so basically that is this. Let me show you the region. Do I have my AWS here? Let me see here. Right, so here basically this is what the region is about. So if you want to create in the London region, okay, it's you got EU West 2, or Ireland EU West 1. Okay, that's the region. So we come here and let's put EU hyphen West. Let's go to 1. Okay, for now. This is our provider block done. So far we've done the Terraform block. You need this. Okay, it's a require. You need to get this block, and you need your provider block to also tell Terraform which region you want to deploy this to. Okay, and then you're going to connect to AWS. Basically, that's it done. The next bit is the resource we are going to create itself. Again, we said we're going to create IAM what user. So go back to here, and then this, you see the document, this document that we are in, this document, you can search whatever you want, or you can look at it in alphabetical order. Yeah, these are AWS resources. Okay, so we are interested in what we call IAM, so identity and access management. So let's keep scrolling till we find, I think yeah, that one here. When you go inside of that folder, okay, we are interested in IAM user. So these are all the resources. Okay, so IAM user, let's find it. Okay, IAM user, IAM user. Okay, IAM user, where are you? Okay, you are here. We click that. Okay, it tells you a little bit, note what you need to know about it. But again, what Terraform is so good about it is to give you, like a good example that you can use. Okay, so that one you can basically use and amend it to suit your use case. Okay, so for example, we can copy all this and then we can remove the one we don't need. Okay, we will copy that. Okay, and then what goes inside, we're going to create IAM. So let's go through. We're going to create the resource. So the resource is IAM user. Okay, AWS IAM user. Okay, inside of this is just the resource label. Okay, this resource is just a label for it. So Terraform knows this kind of resource. So by that, it can be any name. Yeah, the name, actually inside this curly bracket, okay, there are some arguments. So resource block, and then the argument are inside of this. So argument and its value, okay, or the identifiers and then the expressions, okay. So what goes in here is what we call the reference argument. How do I find the reference argument? How do I know what goes in here? Or is there any more? Or that's it? Can I remove some? What can I do? Okay, so the argument, reference argument, you get it from here. If you scroll down, some are required, some are just optional. So for example, we are creating IAM user. So when you are creating a user, obviously you need the name of the user. So it is a required. The rest path is optional. Okay, if you don't give a path, the default will be a forward slash. That means the root. Okay, the root path. Permission boundary optional. False delete, by that I mean when you have a, let's say, IAM user and you create it with Terraform and then you add, let's say, MFA or let's say access key manually to the console, it can false delete that. Okay, basically that's what I say. And then you tag it. That's it. Okay, so this is what I want you to know. This is how you create it. The AI can come in here and copy this for you, but you need to understand it. Okay, and there's something we also called attribute reference. Okay, so normally you will use this as the output. Okay, when you want to reference this into any other resource, you can use this, what we call the attribute reference. Okay, I will use this when we are doing output, but for now just remember there's something we call the attribute reference. Okay, so the one we are interested in is the argument reference, the stuff within the resource block. Yeah, so we've copied that, did we? Yeah, let's copy that again if we didn't. Come back here and then we'll paste it here. Right, so we are not creating policy. We can remove that. We are not creating, we are not data sourcing document, we are not creating access key, we are creating user, so we leave the rest. We move this and leave that one. Okay, so can you see it's kind of helping me code this, but let's ignore that for now. All we are interested in is that resource. So this, you can touch it, you can leave it the way it is, as in the resource label. Okay, so the resource type, actually the resource label, you can change it to whatever you want. Okay, you can say user or something. Okay, or dev users, dev user. Yeah, let's do underscore something. Okay, so like I said, I took you through the argument. So here, what name do you want to give it to the user? So let's say the user is called simple. Okay, what was that going on there? So the user is called simple user hyphen user. Yeah, that's the user name. The path, you can leave it the way it is. Okay, if you don't, you have a default path, which is the root. The tag is just a label. The simple user belong to, let's say, a team. Let's say the dev team. So you can say team. Okay, and then you can say dev or something. Yeah, you can add more tags, just a label. For this one, you can say this Terraform code is managed by. So you can say manage. Yeah, by. Let me do autocomplete and say Terraform. Yeah, managed by Terraform. You can keep adding. Okay, tags. Okay, environment, and you say dev. Right, so in a nutshell, this is it. This is how you write your Terraform configuration language for a resource. Okay, so once you're done, what you need to do is to go through your Terraform flow. Okay, which I've done a separate video. By that you mean you can run your plan, you can run your initialize first, you can run your validate, your format, your plan, deploy, and so on. So let's quickly run init. So what is the initializer going to do? Is going to kind of call or pull the plugin, okay, and then also initialize the backend if you have it. Okay, I'll do a separate video on backend. What we are trying to do is to connect to AWS, okay, and download or install the necessary plugin. That's what the Terraform init does. So we will say Terraform initialize, so which is init. Okay, so when I do that, keep your eyes on that side. So Terraform initialize, can you see it says initializing backend? What does it mean? It means if you have your backend, I will do a separate video, but basically the backend is place where we store your Terraform state. What is Terraform state? This is kind of, think about it, it's like the memory. So Terraform is going to record everything it's going to create and keep it in its memory. So that is kind of one way or the other the state. So once we do initialize, you got the lock here. This lock means that Terraform has downloaded this plugin and it has locked it. The next time you want to run init again, it will come back here and reuse this, basically this information. It has locked it. So instead of it going to the cloud and pull it again, it will just download it locally. That's what I mean. It will download all the necessary plugin, okay, and then initialize the backend. That's what it has done now. Okay. So you see that we got the dot terraform here. Okay, you got all the plugin provider plugin in here, and it has locked it. Okay. If you delete this, you have to rerun Terraform again and it will download again. Okay. That's what this is about. So let's clear the screen, Control L. Control L here. Okay. So that is initialized first state. The next one you can do, you can format it. What does the format do? Okay, so if imagine if I move this all the way, it's all over the place, all over the place. Okay, and I do Terraform FMT, Terraform. Okay, I'll say FMT format. Watch it, watch this. Can you see? It just kind of moved it and kind of align it nice and neat. Okay, let me. I think I just not that one. Okay, so it's formatted it nice and neat. Okay, you can format it as many times as you want and you're good. Okay, so the next one is to do Terraform validate. You can validate the syntax if you want to, but if you don't, that's fine. So we can have Terraform to validate, yeah, just to validate the syntax is fine. Okay, the syntax suit what Terraform wants. Okay, sources, and now here we can run plan. Okay, then we plan this. Okay, so we are going to run a plan. It's just going to show you the execution plan, what resources is going to create, and then later on you can go on and apply. Okay, once you run the plan, okay, again, can you see it's having the .terraform? This is basically the information that goes on behind, like the initial, the plugin, the lock, and everything. Okay, so we've run the plan. It's telling you it's going to create IAM user. So can you see create? The plus means create. It's going to create. Okay. And then all this resource. Some of them, can you see the one we provided, like the name is there. Some of them we didn't provide. Okay, like the ID, the false. So this is what we call the declarative. If you don't provide it, Terraform will add that, will add the default, and all those things are in the argument. I show you here this part. Can you see that? The tag is there. Okay, the false destroyer will be there. Okay, the path will be there. The name will be there. Okay, let's go back there. So Terraform add its own things. Okay, once we are happy, we can run apply. Apply. Oh, no, Terraform. Apply. Okay. And then when you run the apply, it's just gonna rerun the plan and then ask you Are you sure you want to actually create this? Okay, and then you say yes. Okay, yes to apply. Okay, and then your resource is being provisioned. Okay, and then you wonder, how does this resource get provisioned from my laptop, my local machine, to AWS? First of all, remember, if you haven't set this up, you need to first install Terraform on your machine and also create your secret key and access key and configure it. I've done a separate video. If you don't know how to create access key, secret key, and then configure it, I'll have a separate video. Go back and then do that. But this video is mainly how to create your first resources, which we've done. So let's go to the console and have a look. Okay, so go back here and then let's refresh the IAM. Where's my, okay, okay, and then we have a user called simply simple user. Okay, simple user, that's what we have here. All right, so again, going back to the flow, if you want to delete it, so Terraform, that is destroy, yeah, Terraform destroy. Okay, and then again, it's just gonna run you through what is going to destroy. Once you are happy, you say yes. Okay, and then you say yes on this, enter, and then your resource is destroyed. Okay, I hope this will help. So again, like I said, the main thing you need to understand is how to read the document, how to find this information. The rest is just nice and easy. Okay, I hope this helped. Happy learning. See you in the next video. In the next video, I will show you how to fix a drift. Okay, when somebody creates something in the region Terraform and somebody make a change on the console, how you gonna fix that? Again, I'll do a separate video on variables and then the output. Okay, that one will come straight after this. So happy learning. See you in the next video. Bye bye.